let's move into the Warriors, who took the first game of this best of 7 series against the Minnesota Timberwolves. What were your takeaways?
I don't know that you can put too much stock into this game, no matter what, like where you are, just because of the fact that we don't know what Curry's injury diagnosis is going to be. And then Anthony Edwards, how many times is he going to start off a game as poorly as he did? I think he started off the game 0 for 11 from the field and only had 1 point going into halftime. Like, he was absolutely awful in the first half. Obviously, he ended up turning it on in the second half and playing extremely well, maybe even giving them a chance to, the crowd was getting into it towards the end of the game and giving them a chance to maybe like have a shot at making something work. But I really don't know that you can take much stock either way in this game, just because the fact that for Warriors fans, you have no idea what the timeline is for Curry, and this is like a reoccurring, like this is just an injury where you don't really know what exactly is going to go on. And then on the other side, Anthony Edwards, will he continue? Because the closeout game versus the Lakers wasn't very good either. So how like streaky is he going to be? And when he is streaky, how consistently can you count on a Timberwolves victory?
Yeah, so this game was interesting with the Steph Curry injury and the way that the Timberwolves shot the ball in this game. Obviously, they're not going to win any playoff games in this series if they shoot like they did for the rest of the series in this from what they did in this game. Draymond Green shooting so well. The 15-0 run, even after Steph Curry was out, was super impressive. I've been kind of waiting for Julius Randle and Rudy Gobert to be played out of the playoffs, and it didn't happen against the Lakers because they just simply didn't have the personnel to do it. But I feel like the Warriors they're not big, obviously. They don't really have the personnel either to do it again. So I'm kind of waiting to see what happens with that. Buddy Hield shot super well. And Jimmy Butler has just unlocked this team just to a whole nother level, completely changed everything since they acquired him in the middle of the season. I'll bring this question to you. If you are Anthony Edwards, or if you're looking towards Anthony Edwards for game 2, what do you want to see him adjust?
Yeah, I think he just has to be more aggressive. That's like one of the things that even if he's like, he consistently will just keep on shooting the ball no matter if he's having a good game or a bad game, which I think can be a good trade at times, can be a bad trade at times, but you just got to keep on getting to the rim because you're not going to consistently miss like easy layups or anything, because he was just missing shots at the rim today. Like everything was just like, it felt like there was like a lid on the rim for an extended period of time. So just consistently be aggressive, and I think he'll be fine. I don't think that there's going to be a ton of games where he's going to play this badly, especially in the first half. Then I wanted to touch back on Buddy Hield. He actually was not very good in the first half and then just turned it on in the second half, which I thought was interesting because you had Draymond sinking a bunch of threes in the first half, which was a little bit unexpected. Buddy Hield was like nowhere to be found. And in the second half, Buddy Hield turns it on and makes some clutch threes for them to eventually pull away from that game. But overall, the Warriors didn't play very well either, which is interesting because just in general, these are two of the better defensive teams since Jimmy Butler joined. They've mentioned this on the broadcast a bunch of times, and it's a very well-known thing. But since Jimmy Butler joined this Warriors team, they've been the best defensive team in the NBA, and the Timberwolves have been consistently one of the best. Obviously, with Rudy Gobert and then Jaden McDaniels on the perimeter, they're one of the best defensive definsive teams too. So it'll be definitely a gritty series, and we'll see where it goes. I don't think this game tells you much, though. They're gonna have to.
It's so tough to tell because we have no idea what the status is for Steph Curry. Like he has to come out of the game and was like, "Look, it's a hamstring injury. We have no idea. He's already dealing with the thumb injury. So whatever he's at, 65, 70%. I don't know if they have enough firepower without him, honestly, to beat this Timberwolves team, even if Julius Randle and Rudy Gobert have a subpar series. I think you're looking towards Anthony Edwards. My thing is, I just want him to be able to make his threes, and he only shot 5 in this game. It wasn't like he was struck them up, but I just need this team to shoot better, and I think that they can win this. They can win game 2, and they can win the rest of them in the series, honestly, if Steph Curry isn't what he can potentially be. I think they're so reliant, this Warriors team, on one of those guys. Maybe it is Buddy Hield, but I'm specifically looking at Draymond Green or maybe somebody off the bench at having a different type of game than they would maybe usually have, whether or not they are shooting well or they're just offensively able to put out for this Warriors team. I feel like they just don't have the rotation that is enough. Who are you trusting that is coming off the bench regularly for the Warriors? Pat Spencer, Jonathan Kuminga, Kevon Looney? I don't really see it against this Timberwolves team.
Yeah, Gary Payton gives them pretty
Yeah.
consistent minutes usually, but I mean, and Moses Moody was pretty good throughout the regular season, even in that Rocket series. But I mean, yeah, there's definitely a lack of depth in this team when you start looking through the roster. I mean, based off the guys who played, Guy Santos isn't a typical player, and then obviously we saw the introduction of Pat Spencer into the series, which was interesting. He had some pretty valuable minutes, which was definitely because of the Steph Curry injury. But I mean, we'll see where they go from here. Yeah, no, I'm just like even from the starting lineup too. It feels like this team runs through Curry and Jimmy Butler, but then if Buddy Hield isn't having one of those games, then it really starts to like. Draymond Green went 4 for 5 in the first half from three, and then went 0 for 5 in the second half. Like this team just struggles to find offense, which is why they have to be so good defensively. So I mean, we'll see where it heads from here, but I don't know that they have enough without Curry to like even give this Timberwolves team much of a challenge. I'm going to say just because like the Timberwolves do have a lot of like players who can consistently like Naz Reid or Anthony Edwards or even Rudy Gobert getting big in the post. Like they have players that can consistently contribute for them on offense. I don't really see that with the Warriors, and especially with how good the Timberwolves are on defense. As long as Anthony Edwards isn't going 0 for 11 to start the game, I think that the Timberwolves team should be fine, especially if they don't have Curry.
Yeah, I'm in agreement, and it's kind of weird to say that about a team that did just lose game one at home, but it seems like there's something going on with these playoffs. So I believe all of the road teams won the first game, and then obviously the Pacers took both of the games on the road. But yeah, this Warriors team, and I was doubting them against the Rockets, and they proved me wrong. And I was saying like, hey, look, they just simply don't have enough. I didn't even know if they could close out in game 7, but they were still able to do that, albeit they had Steph Curry for that game. If Steph Curry comes back in this series, though, and he's healthy, and we see maybe Julius Randle, Rudy Gobert not have the greatest matchups and not the greatest performances in this series, I don't know then, honestly, if Anthony Edwards is going to be enough for this Timberwolves team to be able to take over, uh, for him to take over with this Timberwolves team and beat the Warriors in a 7-game series.
Okay, I'm leaning the opposite way, but I definitely think the note on the road teams throughout the course of the semifinals has been interesting. They're 5-0 currently. Obviously, you'd expect that trend to change at some point, but I mean that is I don't think that we've ever seen something like that where just consistently the road teams are winning these matchups, especially given the circumstances where the Nuggets are coming off one day of rest as well as the Warriors in this scenario. Warriors are not only coming off one day of rest, but they're also shorthanded and losing Steph Curry very early into this game. So definitely an interesting start to the semifinal round, and I think we have a lot of great basketball in store. And either way, I don't think that the series goes less than 6 at this point, especially with the Warriors stealing one at home or away.
Yeah. Well, game 2 is going to be dependent on Steph Curry's status. And when we know that, we'll know a lot more, but it could potentially look a lot different than game 1.